I reckon I'd have sold my nan to pass selection. It meant everything to me. It was the world.
Do you think you guys are better at opping than us?
We're definitely better at drinking tea than you guys.
The house exploded. Ran back into the compound. There's smoke everywhere. I mean, there were 6 dudes down immediately, screaming everywhere.
Some mass casualty situation.
Yeah, pop shots. And then I'm like standing in the courtyard trying to figure out where's what. And our dog was buried with just his head sticking out, latched onto my foot. How you doing?
Good man. How you
Eddie.
doing? Eddie, Staz, absolute pleasure to have you in our beautiful small island nation. Welcome to England.
I know, it's good to be here.
The home of tea and scones.
Yep, and I love the weather. I'm used to the hot Texas weather. So were you born and raised here in England?
Yes, mate. So, let's go all the way back. I was born in the north of England, up in a place called Wigan. I still have family up there now. I had a kind of normal upbringing. It was like white working class. I look back and it was just always out, just doing what young boys do. I think lots of mischief and always being out. I've never been particularly like academic. It's like school and things didn't really like float my boat. But just loved the outdoors, loved sport. Got into rugby at a very early age. Around about, I think it was about the age of 7. I thought everything was fine. Like my parents were together, and I guess you don't really fully understand as a kid like the difficulties and the strains that parents. And it's easy now to sort of connect that dots looking back. Look, they split up, they divorced, but not just that. Me and my brother ended up relocating. So we moved from Wigan to a place called Mansfield in Nottingham. When I was 11, I guess that's when I had my sort of first biggest kick in the tits. I lost my mum at a young age.
Oh man, my condolences, man.
No, thank you, man. So I was 11, and it happened overnight. It was a brain hemorrhage. Thankfully, me and my brother were up in Wigan, like visiting my dad. But it was a bit surreal. Like on the Friday, sort of hugs, kisses, bye, go and enjoy the weekend with your dad. And I just remember being sat down and sort of having that fucking shit news delivered, and not really understanding or processing that properly as an 11-year-old boy. Thankfully, my grandparents, my mum's parents, moved down. They relocated from Wigan, sold everything up, left all their friends, their family, everything that they knew and had built up there in an extremely incredible, selfless act to come down and raise me and my brother. Actually, looking back now, it was the best thing that could have happened to us in that moment. And my granddad, who sort of passed away, last year, was my hero. He was an incredibly important man in my life, and lots of old school values that he instilled in me, which I am, incredibly grateful for now. So we kind of go through that process. I'm into secondary school, start playing football at high levels. I'm playing for the county. I then get picked up to play for England schoolboys, and I'm associated with professional football.
Is that kind of like a select league or whatever? Yeah,
well, it's a selection process that you go through to represent your country, to play soccer. And so I'm playing for England schoolboys, and an incredibly proud moment for myself and for my grandparents and for the family. And then I'm at professional clubs, like all failed footballer stories, Eddie. I'm not saying I should have been in the World Cup, but I had a bad injury in my knee, surgery, rehabilitated. The first game back, my knee went again, and I remember hitting the floor in just frustration and anger at myself. What an idiot. I've let this slip through my finger. Anyway, after that, I sort of then had to I guess, recock and think, well, fuck, I put all my eggs in this basket, what can I do now? And I was like, at that age, I thought, fuck, I keep getting all these hitbacks, these knocks, and it's not meant to be. But my environment, my situation, surroundings, there wasn't much opportunity. And I still thought, God, I feel like I've got something more to give back here. And around about this time, I started reading books, Andy McNabb books and Special Forces books and things that interested me. Andy McNabb.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Bravo 20, right?
That's exactly that book, mate. And so that sort of planted the seed. And then at the same time, like 9/11 had happened, which obviously changed the scope of both of our lives and the world. And opened my eyes to this kind of war on terror and what the Royal Marines were doing. Again, the Second Gulf War, they were all over the TV. Nobody from my family was in the military, directly related or kind of pressing me down that route. And I remember going back one day and sort of saying to my nan and granddad, look, I'm going to join the Royal Marines. And they were like, what? Are you mad? But I thought, look, for me, what did it offer me? It offered me like an escape. It offered me like this kind of brotherhood that I, looking back now, needed and required.
It's almost like a sense of purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it was like there's something bigger and better that I can give back to, and yeah, the purpose thing for me, and having a kind of a North Star. So, and there's probably a common theme that runs through both of our lives. Once we set our fucking minds to something,
that's it,
and we have a goal that we want to hit, I was then all in. I was all chips into being a Royal Marine Commando. I thought, fucking hell, this is me. I'm quite well suited to this. I've kind of found my calling and my people, my tribe. I did my first operational deployment in 2006. Okay. I go to fucking Kabul, Afghanistan, the capital. And yeah, it was eye-opening, to say the least. It sort of definitely turned me from a boy into a man. But on that first tour, I did have my first interaction with Special Forces. Kind of knew who they were, knew about them, but they were kind of like the fucking ghosts.
Right.
And I was manning a gate, as a guard on the gate, and enrolled two kind of soft skin vehicles. These dudes jump out, they got long hair, beards, tattoos.
I was like that.
Yeah, they look cool as fuck. So that's me sort of then introduced into the world of Special Forces. I came back, did a sniper course, and then in 2008 went on to Joint UK Special Forces selection, ran through that process. First time, fortunately, more luck than judgment. And I did 10 years then in the Special Boat Service, and had a very, very busy operational sort of time in deployment. Probably some crossover with yourself there, Eddie. Mate, but that's enough about me waffling on. What about you? I'm interested to hear your story, mate.
It's so funny, I'm like hanging on to the next. Okay, so what happened then?
Yeah.
No, man, I mean, a lot of the stuff you said is very similar to my upbringing. So I grew up with my mom and dad in Cincinnati, Ohio, so northern United States, just below the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Grew up with mom and dad, and then my family, my mom and dad got divorced as well when I was around probably 7 or 8.
Bloody hell.
And then just like, I don't know, man. It's so funny, like literally just talking to you and hearing your story. It's so weird. Other guys tell their story. You're like, man, that kind of rings true for me. I think that purpose piece came in, but when I would go to my dad's house, because I would do the every other weekend thing.
Yeah.
He was big on like Arnold Schwarzenegger films, like Commando and Terminator, like all that stuff. Yeah. And then like Sylvester Stallone, like all the Rambos. And I just watched him and I like fell in love. So again, like you, out in the woods, playing paintball, building forts. What do you call them though?
Dens.
Okay, so we call them forts. Yeah. Building forts or dens. And just making spears, and I just loved the outdoors. Yeah. And I mean, at a young age, especially when you're getting influence from these awesome movies, dudes that are just jacked and worked out and all that stuff, it was pretty easy. I'm like, I'm gonna do the military. Like at a young age, I just knew it. I mean,
really? What sort of age do you reckon?
I mean, young. I mean, probably around 9, 10, 11. Wow. I was like, I'm gonna go do that. But I did like this, I did soccer, American soccer.
Yeah.
I loved the sports. I loved, the camaraderie of the team. Being with the boys. But yeah, man, I quit football. I went to wrestling. I did one practice. I got smoked. A buddy came up and he's like, hey, you want to try the swim team? I was like, bro, I ain't putting on a speedo. I'm not wearing underwear around other people jumping in the pool. Yeah. But I tried it and I was like, I can swim. And I went from one pool, 25 yards to the other end. I thought I was going to die, dude. I was so smoked. And I'm like, I like this.
How old are you at this stage?
I was a freshman in high school.
What's that? What
so that would be, 17, 16, maybe like 14,
okay.
15.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it. I'm like, this thing kicked my butt. I want more of this.
Yeah.
And then a guy that was on my swim team, he was 1 year older than me, so he graduated high school. He went to Marine Corps boot camp in Parris Island. Mm. He was graduating. His family asked if I wanted to come down there, so I went. So I went down to South Carolina. Whoosh. And crazy how it passed, right?
Yeah.
And went down there. I saw it all, like just the marching, the drilling, the obstacle course, just like the discipline. I was like, this is what I want to do. So I signed up for the Marines. I was 17 years old. My mom and dad had to like give permission.
Wow.
Because you have to be 18 to make that decision.
Yeah. Quite similar to the UK, that.
So did that, had my 18th birthday in boot camp. Didn't tell anyone, thankfully. No one knew about it because I didn't want to bring any extra attention, as you know.
Yeah.
And did the Marines for 4 years. And this is funny. I wanted to go to sniper school, and I couldn't even pass the shooting class because you had to be an expert to get there. I missed it by 1 point, like 3 times. Like they were so cool. They like say, hey, try it again. And I kept missing by 1 point. I'm like, dude, what the heck? So I was like, I'm just gonna get out. I'm gonna go be a cop back in Cincinnati. And then there was just something pulling me more to the SEALs. So I was like, man, I'm gonna do the SEAL thing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm telling people, I can't even get into Marine sniper school. And now I'm gonna go over here to do like considered a higher, unit, their training. And they're like, you're crazy. I'm like, I think I am too, but I'm still, I got this.
Yeah.
And so went over, did that, did a couple deployments in the same areas.
Yeah.
And then I learned about, our tier 1 unit, and I was like, all right, I gotta do that too. So I did the training for that. So after a couple deployments with SEAL Team 2, going to Iraq and Afghanistan, I did the screening and then went across to our tier 1 unit, what we'd call our, elite unit.
Yeah.
And then screened for them and then started doing a couple more deployments. And that's when things really started picking up, engaging with the enemy, stuff like that.
Okay.
And during that whole time, I had a family that was, kind of in the background. And that was kind of the thing with me, is I wasn't putting priorities where they needed to be. It was all about me. Very selfish.
Yeah. I often say it was the best job in the world, but probably the most selfish job in the world as well. And partly because it has to be. It demands so much
with you. Yeah.
Of you. It has to, and your mind has to be solely focused on that, not just for your own preservation, but importantly for everybody around you as well, mate. So. Selections. I think there's a thought process that there's a lot of rivalry, and there is, I think, is healthy rivalry between units, between groups, not just kind of cross water, but within the UK as well. A healthy rivalry between the Special Boat Service and the Special Air Service, and I'm sure maybe quite similar to you guys.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
With, DevGru and Delta. What was your Mate, talk me through your selection process, because I kind of know about it, and I actually went across and observed green team selection, but there's sort of CQC element of that, the close quarter combat stuff. So I only got to see a little bit of the process. What was it like?
So when you go to the SEAL teams, when right out, you got I'm sure you've heard of BUDS, basic underwater demolition, which I'm sure you guys have the exact same thing. So that's like the famous bell, the Hell Week. Everyone's got their helmets, and if you ring the bell or you quit or you, God forbid, you get injured, you put your helmet down and you can just see the helmets start getting stacked up. It's like another one bites the dust.
And they just get left there?
They're just left there by the bell. So by the end of your training course, there's just it starts out with none.
Fuck.
And then there's just a line of them. But that was motivation.
Yeah.
And I would tell myself, I was like, okay, I'm better than you. And it was like,
I'm still here,
a hit.
Still in the fight.
Yeah. I mean, again, maybe selfish, but it worked. But yeah, so we did that, and that was 6 months. You do your just basic beatdown, then you move to your dive phase, doing all your learning diving, and then you move to your land warfare, shooting explosives. That's BUDS.
How many people start your
for the BUDS?
Yeah, BUDS. How many's 100, 200?
So I don't quote me on this exact number, but I think new people that were starting the course, I believe, was around 70 or 80. But we had a bunch of rollbacks, like people that got injured, people that failed an event, the class before us. But they sort of retread, they can come back on. So they'll try to keep them in there. But it was a total of 150.
Yeah.
So that's what we started
Start
with.
there, 150.
That's not where you end. Yeah, that's where we started.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Yeah, so we were 240 that start ours.
240?
240. And
isn't that the population of
UK? London, 240 people start, and our process takes about 6 to 9 months. The first phase of selection is called the hills phase, so you're running around, the Welsh hills with the stupid big heavy pack on, and that's mainly focused around kind of like navigation and how physically fit and robust you are, and you're navigating on your own.
Yeah, kind of like our first phase, I think.
You're point A to point B, long marches, sort of 8 hours out on the hill, but big heavy packs on, and 240 start. They sort of the majority of people come from the Marines or the Paras. For us, it's a joint UK Special Forces selection now. So you put yourself in where historically you had to be sort of put forward for it. Like, this guy's a good dude, you can go for selection. But now you put yourself into it, you're a volunteer.
Right.
Essentially, and that pulls from the Army, the Navy, the RAF, everywhere.
Okay, gotcha.
And you're all sort of on the same sort of level playing field, the same selection process. It's interesting you said earlier about the helmets and the bells, and it's sort of giving you that strength and power.
Oh, for sure.
We joked on the hills phase, you would sort of, and mate, typically as well, I don't know about you, but fucking the old imposter syndrome. You turn up on day one and everyone's sort of sat on their Bergens, it's fucking pissing it down because it's Wales, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, it's dark. And you've got a lot of nervous energy, you just want to get started, it's day one, and you can't help but sort of look left and look right, and you're measuring yourself up against all these people, and you're like, fucking hell, this dude's huge, he's massive, like a man mountain. You're thinking, what am I doing here?
Self-sabotage is what it is.
But I remember on the hills phase running past some of these big dudes that, looked like something Michelangelo carved, and they'd broken physically and mentally and couldn't go any further. And it was like, I don't know if you remember the film called Highlander.
I do, yeah.
And when he used to get the sword and chop off the head, and then he'd get their soul and their power. In an odd way, it sort of energized me and gave me more energy and more, I guess, self-belief that I could carry onto the sort of through the process.
No, for sure. Because what's so cool about that process is I don't think we realize what the human body's capable of until you get pushed into it, that you voluntold
what
you have to
do.
go do this or else you're going to be dropped.
Do you think, mate, and our selections, they're different, but they're very similarly aligned, and much like the military, what is it fucking designed to do? And the military knocked the fun out of fucking everything. You mentioned earlier diving. People might be sort of thinking, diving, I like diving, fish and clear water and fucking... none of that.
That ain't it.
That's fucking not it. It's combat swimming, and it's about a 2 metre trim below the water at night, on a rebreather system.
Can we just be honest? It's a little scary.
Yeah, it's
a little scary.
Some of the worst stuff I've ever done in my military career wasn't the fucking operations. It was training out in the North Sea on the oil rigs, and just fucking feeling so inferior to Mother Nature and the waves, and being crashed against a big stanchion, out in the middle of nowhere where you typically shouldn't be, in a small team, small group of people. It's fucking horrible. I had so many near-death experiences in training, probably the same, if not more, than actual operations. But the biggest kick in the tits for me, or the biggest surprise and the best kept secret, was the escape and evasion phase. So the resistance to interrogation and escape and evasion. So your body at this stage is pretty run down. You've been...
All by design.
All by design. And then you go out onto the run for about 5 days, little to no food. Again, the military doing all the things they do best, making you cold, wet, hungry, tired, no food, removing all those kind of things. And then you're exposed to 36 hours of interrogation by professional interrogators. And again, it was just so surreal, because your body and your mind is so fucked. You are at the lowest of your low, tired and cold and wet and hungry, and you're just not sort of thinking straight. And yeah, for me, that was a huge kick in the nuts, mate.
Yeah, I think, was yours kind of like more a Vietnam designed
scenario based?
Yeah, kind of.
No, ours was more present day.
Present, like terrorist stuff.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it was. They like reversed engineered it. So usually, like military courses, you get classes, right? You learn about it, and then you do like your final field exercise.
Yeah.
This was reversed. You get wrapped up, thrown in little you can't even stand up. You can't put
like a little dog kennel
straight.
sort of thing.
Yeah, for like 30 hours. Then they're pulling you out. They're interrogating you.
Very similar.
You got to hold your pants. They can kind of push you around, slap you around. You can't do anything. And I'm like, I've never had that experience. Getting just a sandbag putting over your head, like, changes your mindset. It's like, okay, I can't see.
Sensory deprivation.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not in control. That's it. I'm not in control anymore.
You are not in control.
No, not at all.
It was very sort of confusing and overlapping. We sort of finished that, and then you're into all the special weapons and tactics phases, or SWAT, as you guys would say.
Yep.
And for us, it was like all the the black roll stuff, the domestic counterterrorism role. So it was all the gas masks, the fucking abseiling off buildings, blowing the windows up.
You have to prove yourself before the cool stuff happens.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
like a rite of passage. Yeah, you can't even get to do the cool stuff until you've done all this. So then we go into that phase, and again, a high attrition rate. And people throughout this whole period, they're either voluntary withdrawing, so we call it VWing. People you can, and because you're a volunteer on this course at any stage, which I think kind of messes with people's minds, you can stick your hand up and say, "Fuck this for a game of soldiers! Like, I'm out of here, not interested."
We call them quitters.
Quitters, yeah, losers. And they'd always start the day with the same thing, right? Fucking everybody in. Does everybody still want to be here? Does anybody want to fucking quit? And
they extend the invitation.
They invite that out, and they let it sit, and everybody sort of sits around and looks around, and one hand will go up, and then the domino effect. Then it's like, fuck it, I'm out. If he's going, I'm going.
He's doing it, I can do it.
And it's like it was like a wave almost of people going, oh, at least right, it's not just me, and interesting like sort of psychology around that. And then after special weapons, all that stuff, we then go down to your some other things happen in bits of training, and then you get your new beret, your cap badge, and I'm down in pool, I'm in the SBS, and fucking life's like a game of snakes and ladders, right? You think you're the boy, and then you're like, shit, this is a different world, a different operating, different people, different mindset, different everything.
So after all that was said and done, the feeling, I guess you'd say maybe the pride that went with it.
Mate, the pride, the fear. I reckon I'd have sold my nan to pass selection. It meant everything to me. It was the world, and it consumed me. Yeah. Selection and the process and being badged and being special forces was everything, and like so selfishly consumed by that. But the overall feeling was huge amounts of relief as well, because you put a lot of pressure on yourself and there's a lot of expectation. So for me, one of the best days, most sort of proudest days was passing selection. But yeah, what about yourself?
I mean, same thing. It's just the pride that went with it. I reaching the pinnacle, especially at our Tier 1 unit. I was like, dude, this could be no better. But again, so self-absorbed, I didn't even see the fallout with my family.
Oh, what do you mean?
I was neglecting the family, neglecting my marriage, my kids, like being there as a father. But everything was, from my professional standpoint, I was on point. Yeah. Everything was good because I was just so self-absorbed, so consumed. But dude, it was awesome. I mean, I idolized the badge, everything. Yeah.
I think it's probably safe to say, like when we joined sort of Special Forces Tier 1 operations, that time period for me personally and for our unit might be the same for you. Tell me if I'm wrong, but it was the busiest operational output that the unit had ever seen.
I would agree with that for sure.
So I went straight in 2009, straight into my squadron, straight into pre-deployment training, and then I was out. I was thrust straight into kinetic operations, high-value target hunting, really going after the head of the snake, for want of a better term, and having strategical operational effect. And basically for me, how can I explain it? It was like fucking playing Call of Duty, like now, and it was back to back operational tours out every night, just doing all this fucking cool stuff that I joined for essentially. Now I'm not a warmonger or anything like that, but for me personally, that was the absolute tip of the spear, military kinetic operations, which, as a guy just joining UK Special Forces, I couldn't have dreamed for a better start. And it was just a completely different world to my previous deployment that I did in the Marines.
So it picked up tremendously from the Marines to when you got with the SBS.
Oh, night and day. Yeah, absolutely night and day.
I think when I got maybe one firefight, my first two deployments at Team 2. But when I went to our Tier 1 unit, dude, that's when things just started. It was, like you said, opping like every night, every other night. It was intense. It's like I just wanted to be in the firefight. I wanted to be there. I'm sure we've both got weird and wonderful stories to tell, but I've got a couple of standout sort of moments for me. One was on an operation that we did at night in a real bad place in Afghanistan. It was like kind of a hornet's nest full of badness, and we were going after a particularly... Was this Iraq or Afghanistan? Afghanistan. A bad dude, high value target again. We sort of landed on the X, so landed literally next to the compound of interest, two CH-47 platforms, or MH-47s to you guys, the sort of big twin rotor helicopters. The flying school bus. The flying school bus, mate. So we land on hard,
running off the back, and as we're running straight into the target, the helis obviously took off, and we're under fire immediately. Straight away, there's fucking bullets zipping around everywhere. It's like fucking Pulp Fiction. And RPGs are going off, and I just remember hearing a huge crash and a noise, and sort of running to target, and then looking up and having a whiteout on my night vision goggles, thinking, what the fuck? And then looking under my goggles, and one of the helicopters had been hit as it was up in the air taking off, and it was flying away, and the fucking thing's on fire. It had been struck at the back, and it was just a surreal moment of, fuck, one, that's not good, and then immediately after, continuing with the mission as the priority to get to the target, and obviously contain that. But then very quickly working out, shit, we're like in the middle of nowhere, and that is our taxi out of here. Like, and then whilst you're kind of going through, doing your job and your mission and clearing and securing, the compound and the people within that, it was actually then we were like, fuck, we're gonna have to Shanks's pony walk out of here, which not an issue, not a drama, but again, due to the area that we're in, that sort of caused more complexity and issues. We were ambushed on the way out, and thankfully, and thank you, the Americans came to fucking save the day and rescue us.
Wait a second, say that again?
The Americans came to save the fucking day.
What happened?
But no, thank you. And actually they sent a couple of MH-47s.
That goes back and forth, you know that.
Yeah, of course, because, we only had 2 of these fucking special sort of fit out SF helicopters, and they had to deny it. It literally took off, put down about 5k away, and we had to deny it because of all the sensitive kit and equipment on there. And then left us with one helicopter. So we got ambushed, had to walk out. That was a fucking busy night at the office.
Yeah, it's a lot of times when we plan, that's why we have our contingencies.
Yeah.
We had a NOP like that. We did an offset. We weren't landing on the X. So we offset about a 3-hour, I would say 2 to 3 hour walk in over decent terrain.
Yeah.
That was the plan. And then when we got to it, we're looking up at pretty much 3 points of contact, going up. I got a ladder on my back, and it took us 6 hours to get to it. The sun is about to come up, and what happened was, this was in Afghanistan as well, is a bunch of bad guys took over this brand new school that we built for them. So they took it over. I believe there was maybe 11 to 15 bad guys on it. And dudes are going down. We're taking down, like eating our emergency rations because we're just depleted. Guys are getting IVs just to try to like make it happen. It was bad. And then we're like, dude, we got to do this. So we hit it, and usually you kind of have the upper hand because you plan for it, you've been watching, stuff like that. And man, it was like chaos busted out. People just started pouring out of this school.
Oh, God.
And it was nuts. Like all the training that we've talked about kind of lead up to that point, but guys are popping out off the roof, stuff like that. But it got to the point, it went into the daytime. We're shooting in 40 mic grenades into the windows. You're trying to like dig a hole with your chin. Like I always like describe it as trying to make myself as thin as possible, like a piece of paper.
Yeah. Just
so you don't get nailed. But every op is different. But that was definitely a standalone. I remember just running down the side of a compound to get to the other side to put down some covering fire, and a dude pulls up out of the off the roof. It was like put my dot on him, dropped him, thankfully. Yeah, man, there's some shady situations for sure that you can't plan for.
Yeah, it's weird because over my sort of 10-year military career within Special Forces, like to your point, quite different. Similar but quite different operations. So my first tour was very kinetic, very strike, out every night, similar to the stuff that we're talking about there. Really helped sort of shape and define me as a professional tier 1 operator. And actually during that time when I was on a partner force job, I actually got wrote up for a Gallantry medal, and received a conspicuous Gallantry Cross. So got to meet the Queen, God bless her.
Would that be kind of like a Navy Cross, Silver Star, Bronze Star?
Yes, very similar. So you've got a Victoria Cross is the kind of highest.
The big one.
So it was quite a proud moment and a proud day. But the job in particular, we sort of in Kabul, and it was a very sort of famous job that went across the newspapers worldwide, and actually was attributed to our local partner force, which is ironic and funny because we'd rehearsed this job over and over. We were following these people that were out of the city coming in, these fighters, Taliban fighters, and lots of high explosives. It was the biggest explosive device that they'd ever seen. There was sort of 20, 30 tons of explosives. And the idea was that they'd put this into 2 trucks and do like a multi-stage attack onto NATO and ISAF bases, and then follow through with sort of suicide vests and small arms fire. And the night of the operation, we roll in, much like all the other operations we'd done, but the stakes were much higher because of the type of operation and the severity and how important it was strategically and geopolitically. We had to fucking strike on this particular night, and my partner force went up. I was leading them into the fight. I go up to the door, I lay the charge on the door, and at that point it was everybody ready, good to go. I execute on the breach. Door goes in. I look at the partner force, and I'm like, "On you go, dudes!" And obviously I would lead in with them. And the commander, for whatever reason, just sort of turned around, and the rest of the partner force were not interested. They refused to soldier. Never happened before, and now I'm left in a position of I still need to, act and see the mission through.
Right.
But I'm now down all the partner force, and I've got about 3 or 4, fortunately, SBS guys with me that I pulled in for the job. And I remember looking at my shield man. I won't say his name. But he knows who he is. Ran through the door with me. I said, "Mate, are you good to go? It's me and you, man." He was like, "I'm in." We went in, cleared the compound, and very, very close quarters fighting. And we managed to secure the compound, secure all the explosives and everything else, and then sort of moved away into the shadows like we do. I think, look, for me personally, I think I've used up 8 of my 9 lives. Had crazy experience of being blown up, and those Pulp Fiction moments where it's all around you and you think, fuck, that was close. And then, we lost guys, and we know, I think you kind of know when you sign up, it's like a part of that.
That's part of it, yeah.
But still.
I don't think there's no way to grasp it all.
No.
But you speak on those explosives, dude. There's something about an explosive, when it goes off, you don't know where it's coming from. There is chaos. Where is it? I think that's when the fog of war. We had, I'd say probably like, your op, you're like, I still think about that.
Yeah.
Is we had I was acting team leader, and because my team leader was sick. So I was acting team leader, and we were again, not the primary assault force going in, but we were on the outside of the compound.
Yeah.
This was in Iraq.
Yeah.
And we were having this, a week before we lost 2 guys. Guys walked in, threw grenades, a couple grenades, and a dude was bunkered down by a sandbag little machine gun nest and sprayed him, killed 2 of our guys. And then this is a week later. So already you're kind of on edge. You're kind of processing a little bit more.
You're almost expecting it, yeah.
Yeah, but I called over, and my good buddy Louis Safrani passed, sent him up to this doorway, and there was like this huge pillar and like an overhang. It was beefy, but there was like probably 5 or 6 guys on the other side of the doorway. Then Louis was up there, and we were trying to get the women and children out because of the suicide vest problem. We don't want like the women and children to die.
Yeah.
So I went up to help out Louis from my little position behind the wall of the compound. And I put my arm on his shoulder, and I'm like looking around, I'm seeing all the guys. I'm like, it was the weirdest moment. It was like, you must leave. I was hearing things. I was like, I felt like I was being moved, which is weird because I brought it up. I'm terrified of missing stuff. I have to be the guy in the first door. I've got to get the shot. I want that adrenaline. I want to process all that. But I left. I was like, hey, dude, I'm going to roll back. There's too many guys up here. Because I was thinking if a grenade came out or something. And then I don't know what it was, kind of getting me out of that area. I was like, hey, bro, I love you. And he's like, I got this. And I rolled back. And as soon as I got on the outside of the gate, and as soon as I wrapped this little 4-foot wall, the house exploded.
Fuck.
The house went down, and that slab, that pylon he was behind, that slab shifted over. I think it caught his helmet, took him down, and ran back into the compound. There's smoke everywhere. There's people with double compound femur fractures. There were 6 dudes down immediately, screaming everywhere.
A mass casualty situation.
Yeah, pop shots. And then I'm like standing in the courtyard trying to figure out where's what. And our dog was buried with just his head sticking out, latched onto my foot. And I'm like, what the heck? So I like ripped my foot out.
Latched on as in...
Latched on, because that's all was there. He was covered by building material and like all the bricks and stuff. And latched on, so I pulled, because I mean, I care about the dog. He did live, thank God. But I went to where Louis was and found out that he got shifted over. So me and another buddy, we reached our arm in to try to pull him out. His body was like Jell-O. There was no bone structure, and he was dead right there.
Fuck.
But we had to that's when we had to get the QRF in, extract them out. But that was like, I always go back. What if I didn't call him over the radio to go to that front door? What, like just the what if game, right?
You play that whole scenario out in different ways. And,
if I could have done this, or I should have, why did I felt like this urge to go back and he didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like a lot of playing. But that was,
a lot of people,
was the op, dude.
Sorry, mate. Sorry,
I mean, it is what it is, dude. It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, it's crazy to think now that all these types of operations and jobs that we did that I actually took for granted and thought was normal, probably wasn't normal. And it's certainly not the case now from what I understand.
But it was the reality of it all.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why it's hard to explain to people. Yeah. They don't get the mindset that has to go in it to like, one, don't go crazy. Two, we say that for afterwards. And two, like being able to do the mission, you know, and still be able to focus on it.
Do you know what I sort of was semi-smiling when we were talking about I was a sniper and obviously a knuckle-dragging door kicker first and foremost. But
okay, what'd you like better, the sniping or the breaching?
Oh,
serious question.
It would depend what the job was. I loved being a breacher and a door kicker and going in and CQC. I fucking love that.
We can be friends.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love the art of sniping, but for me, it was always about, you know, being sort of that point and going in and engaging with the enemy at close range, which is, you know, what I loved and turned out to be quite good at.
It's funny you mentioned pool. So probably around 2009, I went down there. A couple of our breachers went over to work with your breachers.
Yeah.
So hilarious story, and I can't. It's so good because we don't really do this, but I appreciated it. We get our gear, we get to the training site. I don't know where it is. All the guys are getting their gears.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And so we're pulling our stuff out. We're like, crap, we don't want to be the guys that they're waiting on. So we're getting all our stuff on. I'm putting my plates on, getting everything ready to go.
Yeah.
And everyone seems to be on the same thing. And then this truck pulls up and everything stopped. And I'm like, okay, what do we do now? And it was the tea. It was tea time.
Oh.
So I'm like, everyone's getting their tea. I'm like, surely you're just gonna get a cup and we're gonna roll. No, dude.
Fucking down tools.
It was like, hey, let's talk. I'm like, and we did it for, I mean, at least an hour, which it was awesome. But like when we get to a training site, it's like, we're going because we want to get off early. Well, right? Work through lunch, get off early, which never really works.
Yeah.
But it was so funny. We talked about that forever, like the tea time, because there was the tea time. We did some opping, and then we had more tea time.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
Okay, serious question for you. Do you think you guys are better at opping than us?
We're fucking definitely better at drinking tea than you guys. Whether or not, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I've kind of, thankfully, operated with you guys as well on tour and seen the way that you guys move and operate, and it is nothing but utter professionalism every time. Not just the whole process, from the briefing, the orders processing, the way that you roll out, the way that you communicate, you know, the way that you operate on the ground, your kit and equipment, everything to a man is fucking nothing but excellent. And I've got nothing but good things to say from my experiences and time working with you guys. I'm neatly dancing around your question. Do I think we're better than you? Absolutely, we are better than you. But no, I think,
you know, lying's not a good thing, right?
I'm a terrible liar. Do you know what? I think we're very, very similar in terms of output and operations. Where I think you might take the edge is when it comes down to specific pistol shooting and being at that pesty end of that range. Whereas I think a British soldier, I think, is probably more robust in so much that we train in horrendous Scottish, Welsh weather. I think we're more weathered as a soldier. I think we could prolong ourselves, you know, for further and longer in shit conditions. I think there are better guys in ours than probably your worst guys and your worst, you know, all that kind of crossover. I think to a man, very, very similar. I
think the same thing. I just gotta try to bust you a little bit. I don't think there's any betterness. I will say though, I do think your field craft,
Yeah,
what you were kind of
like a
talking,
basic
is
sort of-
probably better just because you guys do it more.
I think we do more of that.
But my experience with you guys, when I have like crossed path overseas or when I came over here to train with you guys, always had respect, very humble, good dudes. Now I think just all my experience within, I mean, even with other military forces from other countries, nothing but respect. Everyone was pretty humble.
Where the fuck are we going here? Is it?
No, I like it though. I love this fence.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, one of the main things that I noticed, look, we had good kit and equipment as an SF unit, you know, very different, like the rock stars of the military. But you guys always turned up with the dripping in the latest.
We had the budget.
The latest
we had the budget.
fucking Gucci Nod 4-ways and different lasers, weapon. It just dripping in kit, and it was always like, oh god, they're like the, you know, the posh kid at school that turns up with all the fucking cool kit. Lots and lots of similarities, just a different fucking accent, a different flag, but actually joined through hardships and the ability and opportunity to work with each other, which has been great as well.
Yeah, there's definitely respect across the board.
Mate, let's pick up a pew, have a little sit down.
See, now this would be good tea time.
It would.
Right here.
Yeah.
So out of all the deployments, I think you kind of find yourself, at least for me, is you find yourself in that role. Like you deploy, you come back, rinse and repeat, and you just keep going, you keep going. Probably about, I don't know, I think it was like my 5th or 6th deployment. I went through a pretty gnarly divorce, and I had 3 kids at the time. And I was about to punch out I was running an outstation over in Afghanistan, and I won custody of my children. So 3 kids, so I had a 10-year-old daughter, 5-year-old daughter, and a 10-month-old boy.
Wow.
So I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And
From Dems to diapers.
it was nuts, dude. Like and I say this, and my children know this now because they're obviously much older, but that was like when my real war started here and other things. But I had the opportunity about a year later. I missed a deployment, I missed that deployment, and then their mother took them back for a summer so they could spend time with her.
Yeah.
And my old team was deploying a week later. So they were at school, had summer break. A week later, my old team was punching out to Afghanistan again. So I was like, guys, can I go again?
Fuck.
So I got to train up with them for about a couple months before we went out. But on that deployment, it was different. You know, it's when
You felt different?
I felt different because I'm like, it wasn't just me. I was so selfish before. I'm like, I've got to be there for those kids. But that is the night, one of the most memorable nights for me was Extortion 17.
Yeah.
We lost all that when that 47 went down.
Gold Squadron.
Yeah, it went down. But like the helos were ours. They were down because of weather, so they used a different helos. They went out. And I remember they came over, it was probably like 2 or 3 in the morning. Hey, because we had 2 helicopters out, one got shot down, and we ran straight to the operations center, and we've got our kill TV up, the big TV, and we just see one of the helos, which is Extortion 17, on the ground, and you can see the smoke billowing out of it, and you can see some bodies laying on the backside. And I believe the heat signature was the white, and you could see the white slowly turn to gray, slowly turn to black, and you could just see the life leaving them as you're watching it on. And dude, it was just like so many dudes like that because of a cheaply made RPG being taken out. And that was like kind of a shift for me internally, is like, okay, I don't think it's about me anymore. I was slated to come back like 3 days later, so I came back with all the bodies. And dude, just being on that plane, so it took 2 C-17s with, I think there was like 38 to 42 caskets. There were so many bodies, and then there was just like extra body parts that they didn't know where the body parts went.
Fuck.
And just being back there there was only like 4 or 5 of us that came back with all these bodies, and just being on this huge plane, all these caskets, and then landing back in Delaware. And you go into this room, and when you're going into this room, I mean, we haven't showered in like 3 days. We've been traveling with these caskets, and all their families there, their kids are there, their parents. It's like,
that's fucking rough.
There's more, and I felt like we were missing it. And that had like kind of started the journey of like processing a lot of stuff. I would imagine you had something very similar, processing is what I like to call it.
Mate, thanks for sharing that. Is it like, I mean, I was aware of that. I was actually in serving at the time, and that news rippled far and wide, and especially within our small communities. And that was a very, very dark day for everybody, more so for you guys in particular, and Gold Squadron. But to your sort of beginning point around feeling different, I said before, like, for me, Special Forces was the best job in the world. I'm pretty unemployable across all aspects of life, and I found my fucking tribe, my people, and something that I was actually pretty good at. And I felt like I belonged and I had purpose above and beyond me, for flag, for the country, protecting our small island nation, which is still to this day very important to me. At the time was the most important thing, and it's hard to say, but to realise that was the most important thing to me, but it isn't the most important thing and shouldn't have been the most important thing, and the most selfish job in the world, but the best job. And I think it took its toll on my first marriage as well, and because I think partly it has to, you don't just half Special Forces, you're not just you can't just dip your toe in a little bit and one moment deploy and you're all in, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're all chips in. I'd sort of been away loads, done all these operational tours, came back, and then I was the chief sniper instructor for the unit. So I was sort of removed from the Sabre squadrons, from the pointy end, the war fighting, and then was in charge of instruction and training the guys, everything from pistol, carbine, all the way up to long gun. And great time for me, stepped outside, and then had a little bit more time, at home and things. And then I went back into a Sabre squadron, and was deploying again. And I definitely felt a shift, or a mindset shift for me, for sure, like going back out on deployment. And then, I don't know, something was just different, felt different. I was more risk aware, and I wouldn't have done or do the things that I did previously on operations and missions. I don't know what it was. It wasn't doubt, but it was more an awareness, I guess, of just how fickle life is and how quickly it can end. And something in me just thought, okay, it's the wind's out of my sails a little bit here, and I need to sort of change tact and shift here. And actually, do you know what? When I sort of tried to zoom out and observe my life and me as a person, like a drone, I just thought, when is enough enough? We always chase that next job, that next rush, that next feeling. And there is no other feeling like it. Don't get me wrong. And I loved it, and rightly or wrongly, was addicted to that. And I don't know, I just sort of zoomed out and thought, I'm ready to leave now on my terms. I don't want to be one of those guys that is in for the wrong reasons, or trying to search or still keep pushing for things. And I thought, for me personally, it was for sure, the right time to leave and move on. And it's a similar thing with you guys.
No, you kind of said it, dude. Like, I've said this many times, and I really believe this, it's easy to put the kit on, go overseas, and get in a gunfight. That's easy.
That's the easy bit.
That's easy. Yeah. What's not easy, tell me how you feel. Whoa, okay, time out. What does that mean? I don't even know what I feel. Just like the emotional intelligence that goes behind it. I think our communities, especially, we have this wall up, and we keep that wall up because we don't want to expose anything, because, well, what have we always been told? You're the man, you got to figure it out, you're the tip of the spear, and we're kind of removing that and giving that vulnerability a chance. But that right there is where healing begins, I believe. I mean, it has for my journey, just like, man, you know what? I don't have this figured out, because I was drinking, I was running to the internet, I don't have this figured out. I do like to control things. When it doesn't go my way, anger comes out, and then rage, and I say things that I shouldn't, and I don't want to. And my hole gets deeper and deeper. Okay, time out, we've got to address this stuff, because that's not how it's supposed to be.
I think a part there that you mentioned, which rings true for me as well, is not just the part around the kind of running, gunning, and that is easier for us,
easy.
Which is mad to say.
It's fun too.
It's not good. Fun, but it's mad to say. Like, I'd take that every day of the week over having to deal with normal life. I remember the day that I was leaving camp, and I'm fucking walking around. I'm doing this ridiculous routine of having these stamps and handing kit back and doing bits and doing all the stuff that we do when you leave. And I saw the last guy, and I'm sort of like, hey, I've done all my kind of routine, I've left, I've seen all the people I need to see, and you're the kind of last stamp. He was like, yeah, good, thanks for that. yeah, that's you. And the kind of realization hit me then. But part of it was I walked out of the camp along the main, drag out of the main gates into civilian world, you know, no longer Staz, Special Forces, I was Staz, you know, civilian. And I thought I'd get fucking bugles. And I thought there'd be everybody waiting, like on the streets, waiting for me, and like, awake, oh, like a Staz, everyone's clapping, well done, thank you for your service, and nothing. It was quite the opposite. And then you quickly realise that that echo chamber is still moving and continuing to do what it does. But I still sort of struggled with that, and you lose that connection of people. I think, thankfully, I'm sort of where I am in the world, on the south coast of England in Poole, where, right next to where the base is, I was still having connection and through people. But actually, I think in some ways you are better off just pulling away from that and closing the book. You know, my Special Forces career, close that chapter on my terms and leave. And I think that helped me, where not a lot of guys get that. Again, men, typically, we're terrible at asking for help.
Yeah, we are. It's pride, man. Pride comes up, I'm this, they give you a resume, or they think their resume, I don't need any help. It's okay, dude. It's okay to need it. Like, that was very hard for me to break apart and be like, you know what? I don't have this figured out. Because if I did, this would not be happening. And this, like, I gotta quit going to this coping. I gotta stand in the gap. I gotta stand firm and be like, okay, I'm gonna take it head on myself, without suppressing or coping.
When did you realise that then, for you? As in, from leaving to then thinking, fucking, things aren't...
I think I've always been a slow learner.
So, mate, you're in a good company. Yeah,
I mean, I think, you know, it kind of goes back from that story when I, like, heard that voice of leaving. I just realized there was something bigger than me that was kind of guiding me, I guess you could say. But there was many things. As I hit a bottom. I hit a bottom, and...
What was your bottom? What does that look like?
The bottom for me, minus the substance abuses, minus the porn, minus relationships, because I was dabbling in what if I wanted it, I was going to get it. And it was never enough. It's never enough. I wanted more and more. I remember one day I had custody of my kids. I was living in Oklahoma. And this was like the beginning of redemption, I guess you could say. As I was losing my mind, I would describe it as losing my mind. And I was sitting on my bed, and I had my nightstand right here, and I had my Sig Sauer 9mm sitting right there. And I just like looked over, and I remember distinctly hearing this voice, yes, that is the way. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I picked it up, and I remember just setting it on my lap and just like thumbing it, and just like on the back of the, on the hammer, on the slide. And I was just losing my mind. And I was just about to turn it on myself, and I was just gonna put it to my eye socket and just pull the trigger. And I just got pulled out and like saw, looking down, my body laid out in my room with blood everywhere, my kids coming in my room with their backpacks on, and just seeing their dad's lifeless body. And I was like, what am I doing? And I put it down, grabbed my stuff, went straight to the gym. I'm like, okay, there's something more to this. And I just got, you know, Christ was a huge changing thing for me. Just finding Jesus and not even understanding what it was, because I used to make fun of it. I was like, get that crap away from me. And I was wrong. I was very wrong, and just found healing, and the booze went away, the porn went away, the anger went away. Not that I don't struggle with things still. I mean, it's a daily battle with some stuff depending on my outside situations. But I've learned is the situation should not dictate my actions. I'm responsible for my actions. But through that process and developing that relationship, it's just been getting healing, clarity. I started seeing what I was, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of apologies, just not doing the right thing, man, you know? And that was hard to step into that, but I had to own it. It's no one else's, it's mine to own. So, deep for log talk, right?
No, right, no, mate, I'm just listening, mate. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, it's good. I appreciate that.
I'm like happy for you that it's, you know, you've gone through that process and you're out there, not fully out the other side and working on that still, but yeah, it's good to hear. Mate, thanks for sharing that, mate.
Yeah,
come on. Gosh.
It's good to chat about it.
Yes, man.
So where are you now? You did all the deployments, you know, the military's kind of behind you. What's your focus now?
Good question, mate. I think it's like that midlife crisis thing that you hit the sort of 40, 45s, and it is an actual thing, I think, where you buy the motorbikes and you're just struggling to
I
find...
felt like that happened at 30, 35, 45.
I've had about 10 midlife crises. But I think it's been a big shift for me recently, probably the last couple of years, in terms of what's actually important and where to invest your time, energy and effort. And for me personally now, that's across like relationships. So, you know, my wife, my kids, myself, and working out what's actually healthy and makes me happy, right? Mm. And forming the tighter relationships and making the effort with friends as well, because that's a big part of my life, and business, you know, and those things all kind of wrap in beautifully together, and trying to design my life now in such a way that makes me happy, but also other people around me. What are you focusing on? Yeah, that's good. It's so true, man. You're like, I got this figured out until you don't have it figured out. It's just like the constant, man, what am I doing? What am I doing? When I got out, so when I got custody of my kids, that was my last deployment, that extortion deployment. Yeah. So I had a couple more years left. So I did a training billet, got my degree in security management, and then probably about a year or two out, I started a security company, like corporate security, more executive asset protection. Yeah. So did that, but today, so we've been doing that for, I mean, it's been over 10 years now. But a lot of dudes, I try to help out a lot of guys, just like with my struggles that I struggled with and things that I found healing from, is kind of pass that on. So that is definitely priority one, is my family. And you know what, dude? To be quite honest with you, I fail. I fail sometimes. I can fall into my selfish ways. I can fall into, you know, me. And I'm like, got to pull myself out and be like, dude, okay, how can I serve them? Yeah, trying to work that out. Still to this day, I mean, like I said, you're a little bit further along the tracks than me. Not much. Was that an age thing? Not much. I'm looking for the grey. Why have I got more grey in my beard than you? I earned these greys. Yeah. I'm fucking hanging up my crampons, mate. I think that's enough for me, mate. But listen, Eddie, man, it's been an honor, buddy. What a fucking walk in the woods. It's awesome. Been incredible, mate. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it, man. Big love, mate. Thanks for your service, dude. You too, man. Thank you.
I went down and picked the phone up and I rang Tanya up, my missus. And I spoke to her and I went, I love you, you know. And she goes, yeah, I love you too. What's that noise? I'll phone you in the morning. I promise you I will phone you in the morning.